Welcome back, everybody. Game number 2 here at the After Hours Gaming League. Week number 5 here between Ernst and Facebook. Starting down at the bottom left-hand side of Daybreak, playing as our Red Protoss player for E&Y. It is Andy. And he's going to be up against a Zerg this time. It looks like it will be from Facebook. It is John Oldman. Now, I have seen John Oldman play before. I believe, if I remember correctly, he's one of the stellar players in the FB team from last season. In fact, he did really well, if I remember correctly. So we'll see if he's able to pull out the goods here. Now, you will be looking at the scoreboard and saying, Duckville, you so crazy. Where is game number 2? Now, game number 2, unfortunately, I was told by the captains when I was set the replays that, unfortunately, the player for E&Y was actually, he had a router issue, like, that day that they actually played, which was, when was that? That was like 2 days ago in real life time. So unfortunately he was not able to play, and of course, you know, we have some strict guidelines with setting out the players that you're going to bring out, so unfortunately there was no sub, but that does mean that Facebook gets a point, so we can see that the score is currently sitting at 1-1 right now. So John Oldman, he is, well, he's player number 3 here for Facebook. He's coming down to just try and get that natural hatchery established, but that's not going to happen. Andy's going to have something to say about that for a short time. But we do see that a spawning pool actually goes down. So there will be a slight delay on that hatchery getting started. But of course, this does mean that John Oldman will have that out a little bit quicker, enabling him to be a little bit safer. Now, of course, Daybreak, a really nice map for this particular matchup. Of course, we generally, there we go, I was going to say, we generally do see Nexus first. In Heart of the Swarm has become a little bit more popular just because you can get things out like the Oracle. Of course, you still can continue on the standard sort of wall off here at the natural, just sort of limiting the amount of pressure that can come along here. Some people have been doing the gateways, the wall off a little bit differently. Sometimes you'll see players just sort of do it like this way instead, like with your pylon just over here, and it's sort of, it limits the surface area that is attackable, but I mean, it can cause problems later on. So I don't think Andy's going to do that. He throws down the forge at the bottom of the ramp, and in fact, actually maybe, oh, it's a slightly different version of the wall. But that's enough about walls. Look at what Andy has done up here at the natural. Puts a pylon down and has blocked that for quite a while. Very annoying to try and deal with that kind of thing as a Zerg player. John Oldman is going to be frustrated with that, but he does finally get the hatchery down. We do have quite a few lings out. 6 lings are out. Normally you only sort of see 2 or maybe 4 of them right at the start. It sort of depends on how greedy you want to be with your drone production. Of course, at the moment we do see that John Oldman is up to 17 drones right now, a couple more just popping out there. His opponent is up to 18 probes right now, so things are, well, looking very standard for now. It looks like Andy is still going to continue on with his antics here, just blocking off that third base. John Oldman not going to be happy about that. It looks like he's just saved up enough minerals. He's got 300 right now, almost building up to 400. Now, he was having a quick look at the front door to see if he could get some, perhaps get a run by going here, but Andy, well prepared, has the cannon up, and it looks like with the cyber going down, the only space is going to be this little hallway here. So that's quite a nice wall there. It limits the ability for units to try and run by. There is still a hole, I believe, that way. Back and forth that way is actually small units can get there, but big units can't. So let's just keep that in mind. Looks like Andy did go for another pylon block at the third. Kept the drone from putting down the hatchery for just a little bit longer. He's now going to have a quick look through. He says, you know, what's going on here at the natural base? The Queen comes along, and we'll see if she's going to be able to stop this probe. Yes, she does. Very nicely done. So John Oldman getting his economy started. We're up to a total, wow, almost 600 minerals right now, so he's going to crank out a whole bunch of drones. 7 drones get started, so he's going to really boost up that economy in just a moment. Meanwhile, for Andy, we've got gases 3 and 4 have been taken down at the natural base, so we'll probably see some Stargate action out of him, I believe. That's, you know, a common thing, of course, to, especially on this map, you've got a lot of approach vectors that you can use to come into the main base, sorry, and get some damage done in that mineral line. You can also come across, perhaps you can fly along, just sort of come up this side path here, come in the back and really blast away at those drones. Not to mention, of course, the third, same sort of thing. So oracles are a pretty popular weapon of choice here in Heart of the Swarm, especially in PvZ. You can get some really good damage done. Of course, you know, a lot of the ways that Protoss players like to play is to really get some harassment done right at the start. You can never let a Zerg player just freely drone up, go up to 85 drones. We all know what happens when a Zerg freely gets to 85 drones on 3 bases, because the old Stefano effect comes into action there, and you get roaches and lings up in all your things, and it's very, very annoying to deal with. Looks like John Oldman scouting through at just the right time. I think just catches the Stargate that's up there at that top section of the base, is in fact going to spot the second one as well, so it is going to be a double Stargate play. And, well, we'll see if John Orban is going to get his defenses up very quickly. Of course, Spore Crawlers no longer need an Evo chamber to get built, so he can just slap those down straight away and be prepared for the Stargate tech. I'm very surprised that Andy was not prepared to deal with this Overlord that came through. But of course, what does he actually have at the main base? We actually have no gateway units on the ground right now for... oh, we've got one Zealot. There is one Zealot out. Where is he? Oh, there he is. Alright, so he's at the watchtower, a little bit too busy to, you know, deal with any possible onslaught that might come through. But the Phoenix production is what Andy is going to go for. I'm not sure if he knows that both of these Stargates have been seen, but he is going to continue to get out a few Phoenix now. It looks like we'll go to a total of at least 4 of them. We've got a Void Ray also being produced as well. Now, of course, this is a very similar strategy to the one that you would use in Wings of Liberty, where you'd use a couple of Phoenix to try and lift up the Queens that are attacking Void Rays, and then try and get those Queens down at a minimum. And then, of course, if you can assault the mineral line and take down some of those drones, that is also a nice little bonus. But John Orban, as we said before, very easy to protect against these kinds of things. Spores getting built 2 at a time at each of the mineral lines for his bases, and he'll be relatively well protected. It takes, I think it's about 3 Void Rays to actually efficiently sort of take down a Spore Crawler, so that's something to keep in mind. It looks like Andy's going to poke through, though, finds a couple of Overlords that are a little bit out of position. He's able to take at least 1. Maybe he'll get 2, possibly a 3rd if he's very careful with his Phoenix control. But one of the Queens coming about, she's going to try and defend against this. Looks like one of the Phoenix nicely microed, gets it out of danger, and looks like he will actually take. There you go, 3 Overlords for no Phoenix just as of yet, although, bam. Now it's 3 Overlords for 1 Phoenix. So, you know, you'll have to just be careful here, trying to scout out, find if there are any stray Overlords that might be able to be picked off here. And back at home for Andy, still continuing the Void Ray production. We've now got 3 of them out. There will be a 4th in just a moment. Of course, this does limit his upgrade potential here. No upgrades going at the moment. And as we can see, it looks like he is going to take up a little bit further. He's got 4 gates in total. We'll see if he is going to go for a push very soon. But the Phoenix just scouting out what's going on. He says, hey, alright, how many drones have we got? What tech have we got inside the main base? Is the Hive on the way or anything crazy like that? Could I be facing, like, you know, a very quick Ultra play or something quite frustrating? Are there Swarm hosts? Is there anything like that? Of course, a lot of Zerg players that I've spoken to sort of have, they're sort of a little bit unsure about Swarm hosts right as of now. Just sort of, they can be dealt with relatively easy in Protoss versus Zerg by Void Rays. So realistically, if you are going to go for them, you do need to have a lot of anti-air with you. So it can be perhaps a little bit difficult to use, but of course, this is very early, well, late in the beta, but very early in Heart of the Swarm, so I'm not too worried about that just as of yet. Now, with the 3 bases in operation, the worker count looking very decent at the moment for, well, actually, it's 55 at the moment for John Orban. He's just committed so many links to this attack. He will get the cancel on the Nexus, which is quite nice for him. The only thing I'm worried about is this worker tab right now, 61 to 64, and that's a Protoss on 64, above his opponent right now at the 12-minute mark, which is perhaps not the greatest position to be in. Now, especially when you're going for Sky Toss here, a very, very potent way of playing PvZ. We'll see what John Orban is able to do here. He's still continuing to produce units, and we're still waiting to hit that magic number of, as we said, around about 75 to sort of 85 drones. If you can pick up that sort of, even just that 70 mark there, if you can get up to that and have quite a lot of those drones going, your economy looks good, you get a lot of gas coming in, you can start picking up the more interesting tech, like the Infestors, like even the Vipers. I've seen a lot of people using Vipers quite a lot these days. Blinding Cloud is an incredible little skill. Also, Abduct can be utilized to pull units out of the battle. But well, we'll see if he goes towards that. At the moment, he's still just building up his Hydra and Ling Force back at home for Andy. We've still got Void Rays on the way, so his Void Ray count is looking very, very nice right now, up to 10 in total. Of course, this is something which White Ra has been using quite a lot lately. If you'll catch his stream, he streams some very interesting Sky Toss styles where you can use Void Rays to perhaps push into a Zerg's like outlying base, like perhaps his 4th base. Run in here with your Void Rays, and then once the Hydras start coming in and attacking, recall out as soon as that hatchery is dead, and that can be a really effective usage of Void Rays and the Mothership Core, and it's a beautiful skill to recall. But it looks like this 3-base attack is on the way from John Orban. Again, I'm just sort of a little bit confused about the timing on this. He's got +1 on the melee weapons now. Carapace is on the way, and +2 ground weapons is also coming through. But it looks like, whoa, it looks like the camera's going to go wild there. It was actually my mouse. The Hydras and Lings are going to be the main force that is out of the map right now. But John Orban, I mean, he's got a lot of Hydras, yes, and they've got their muscular augmentations, but what do they have? They've got no upgrades right now. Not going to be doing a huge amount of damage, and with a lot of Void Rays here, this could get very interesting. Hydras, of course, are very decent against these Void Rays, but, you know, if they're getting picked up, there we go. That's like a pickup line at a bar. Hello, Mr. Hydra, I'll lift you up. And the Void Rays go to town on the Hydras, of course, activating the Prismatic Alignment, which ironically actually does nothing here in this situation. There are no armored units here, but looks like Andy is able to fend off this attack with a Photon Overcharge going on the Nexus there, able to blast away. Now the big boys are being added in. The carriers have been brought into action here by Andy, going for that Sky Toss style. We got a second Cybernetics core here to get started on those air upgrades. In fact, does he already? Yes, he does. He already has +1 on the air upgrades done, so he's going to be adding in a +2 very soon. +1 to plating for the air unit armor is also done. So very, very interesting just style here from our Protoss from Ernst & Young. Andy just bringing in the Sky Toss start. I don't think we've seen a full Sky Toss so far in the games that I've casted for the AHGL just yet. So this is going to be an interesting turn of events, but as you can see, he's up to 3 bases. Worker count sitting very nicely for Andy right now, up to 80 workers in those 3 mineral lines. Of course, the gas coming in, a very important component of being able to build up a Sky Force. Meanwhile, for John Orban, he's finally gotten some more drones going, up to 67 right now, but that is going to drop probably very soon. I would love to see him perhaps just throw down a wall of Spore Crawlers this time. Normally in PvZ, you sort of get to a point where the Zerg player says, alright, I got 4 or 5 bases, it's time to throw down the wall of Spine Crawlers. But in this case, when we're dealing with an Air Protoss player and John Orban knows exactly what is going on. Well, I'm pretty sure he saw one of the carriers, but either way, he should know that it is going to be a Sky Toss style, given how many Void Rays he saw. He is going to need some anti-air forces out here. We've still just continually got Hydras pumping out. 13 are being constructed right now. +1 on their missile attacks is only just being researched right now. So he is going to go for an attack, try and stop the 4th base of the Protoss going up. Andy comes out to greet him though. We've got Void Rays, we've got carriers, we've got Phoenix doing some lifting here, and that attack is going to be absolutely worthless right now for John Orban, losing a few of his forces here, and the Protoss army continues to grow. We've got 5 carries, we've got 9 Void Rays out right now. In fact, yes, it is 9. 9 Void Rays out, the upgrade's still looking good. 101 right now. 202 is going to be done very soon for Andy, and of course with a 4th base going up, he's going to add to his gas income, meaning that he is going to be in a very powerful position very soon. For John Orban, he's, well, we're sort of struggling right now. This economy has sort of been a little bit of a struggling point, because look at the gas. He's got 2,000 minerals and almost no gas coming out right now. We've spent a lot in these Hydras, but the question is, will they be able to do enough damage in time to take down this huge air force that Andy has amassed? Andy's air force, yeah. Andy's amassed air force, yeah. Anyway, so we do see that John Orban now going to push down the southern side of the map, finds that there is perhaps another possible proxy pilot here that was going to look to maybe get some reinforcements going, or get a 5th base established for our Protoss. But Andy is going to have his hands full right now. The question is, will there be enough there? And as we can see, the Void Rays coming in, activating the Prismatic Alignment yet again, not actually doing too much extra damage against these units, but the carriers at the back with their interceptors buzzing out of control DUCKVILLELOL there, jumping in and just annihilating all of those Hydras, and John Orban is just blasted apart there, down to 43 supply, 41 right now. He's trying to get his army back in fighting shape, but I mean, no Infestors, no real power units are out right now, and as we mentioned before, the anti-air upgrades, or just the upgrades for the Hydras right now, are still a little bit behind where we would really like them. So he's got 16 Hydras that were just on the way, which of course is a nice thing to have, but there's a point where carriers, and I think we're at that point, I think it's around about 7 or 8 carriers, where even Hydras start having trouble dealing with them, especially if they are not backed up by Infestors, or perhaps even a Viper or two to abduct, and it can be very, very troublesome for a Zerg player to deal with this kind of army. So Andy, gonna have a quick look around the map, gonna try and get some proxy pylons established. Maybe we'll get some DT, just a couple of DTs jumping in. No, we're just gonna continue on with the Stargate production right now. Andy, not a care in the world right now, just continuing on with the air production, and he is up to a total of 11 carriers right now, 5 Void Rays along with that. Of course, you add in like the possible mothership that might come along very soon. Where is the core? There she is. We could possibly see a mothership very soon. Then you're going to have a cloaked, massive air army here from our Protoss player. So John Orban, what has he got to do? There is a Spore Crawler wall. Good to see that. He's got 5 Infestors out on the field right now. 2 more building. He's got some more drones also in production right now. So he's going to bring his total up to 72 after throwing down some of those into the Spore Crawlers here at the 4th base. It's not often you see a Spore Crawler wall. You often see players try to abuse the supply cap by building a lot of spores just because they're a little bit cheaper, but not often you actually get to see a legitimate Spore Crawler wall here protecting a base. So that's what we've got right now. And, you know, the question is, will John Orban be able to deal with this oncoming attack? Because the carriers are on the way. We've got all of those now floating their way slowly across the map. John Orban can see that it is coming. His doom is nigh. But if he can get some good fungals down, maybe he can catch some of the interceptors when they launch, or perhaps if he can get some good fungals on this huge clump of the carriers there, while fungal won't necessarily sort of just whittle down that force too quickly. If he can hold them down, maybe the Hydras can get into position here, but the Hydra count, I'm still a little bit worried about that. I'm not really sure this is going to be the best way to deal with this air force. Of course, the Corruptors could be an option here, but do we even have a Spire? I don't think we have a Spire, guys. No Spire for John Orban right now, so he's going to have a lot of trouble dealing with this. He actually has no real late game right now. We've got a lot of Infestors coming out, but of course the big thing about Infestors in Heart of the Swarm, they've been nerfed quite a lot. Of course, the damage was reduced, of course, against Armored, I believe it was, yep. And, you know, they have a projectile now. They've also got the range on it was reduced. So all these things add up to Infestors being still a good utility force to have. Of course, if you can throw down a fungal on a lot of gateway units, perhaps that'll help out with a battle. But when you're dealing with carriers on this scale, that's going to be something that the Infestors are going to be very, very contentious to use here. So he does have a lot of them out. It looks like he is going to push through the middle of the map, where you may need to see a ridiculous amount of infested Terrans here, or just some money fungals. Looks like he does get one down, but unfortunately that's not going to mean too much. The carriers they're just going to town right here. Some fungals are going off, and they are catching out some of the interceptors, and they are slowly dying, but the fact of the matter is, there is so much DPS coming out here right now. 203 on the upgrades of these air units. The Infestors slowly starting to run out of energy, throwing out their little tennis ball fungal growths there, and but you know, as we can see, with just the free ability to roam around the map here, and anytime those Infestors come close, the Interceptors are going to blast them apart. John Orban is going to have a very hard time defending against this. We've now got Andy sitting up here on 5 bases in total. His Air Force is currently looking spectacular. 15 carriers, 4 Void Rays, and of course, well, all the Interceptors that go with it. 117 Interceptors will be out on the map, dealing their crazy damage. Of course, they do 8 times 2 when they attack, so that's something to keep in mind, and it looks like they will be able to tear apart some of those Infestors as they come to try and get some good fungals off on the carriers while they assault this 5th base. But the 5th base is no more gone in 6 seconds. There is the movie title for that, starring Nicolas Cage, and it looks like the Infestors are going to go down if they're not very careful with their positioning. They are trying to come out here and get some more good fungals off, but as we can see, one carrier finally goes down. The first carrier is finally dead. And, well, I think that John Albin is not going to have a fun time here. Despite his best intentions trying to fend this off with some fungal and hydras, it is not going to really be the best sort of composition that you want to get to in this state of PvZ. Of course, you know, it's one of those things where if you let a Protoss get to this stage, with the cost of their units, it's very difficult to get to this stage sometimes, but the power that you augment once you have it is just incredible. And we do see a GG from John Albin. So the score does go to 2-1 with Ernst and Young in the lead. Of course, Andy taking a brilliant game with this carrier Air Force that comes out on Daybreak. We'll go into game number 4 in just a moment and see what happens. I believe it is a PvP. It's going to be on Cloud Kingdom, and we'll see there in just a moment.